Hello, Inedigabitti, this is Nocturne Gallery. You can learn something new about art in this video, or if you just want to enjoy the paintings and music, switch the audio track to Esperanto. There you'll hear only the music and see the artworks. Relax and enjoy art your way.
Okay, so when you think of, like, the most famous, most beloved artist, maybe the one plastered on every museum gift shop mug, it's got to be Monet, right? Claude Monet.
Absolutely. Those water lily, they're just iconic, peaceful, beautiful, totally established genius.
Exactly. That's the word, established. It feels like he was always famous, always revered.
But that's where it gets interesting because, well, that universal love, it wasn't always there. Not even close. His whole career was this real roller coaster.
A roller coaster, I like that. So you're saying the water lily guy, the master of tranquility, actually had a pretty turbulent time.
Turbulent is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
He was mocked, totally rejected, then became this huge star, almost like royalty. And then people started dismissing his work all over again, especially his most famous paintings.
Wow. Okay, so this is fascinating. We're talking about a journey from being ridiculed to worshipped, then kind of forgotten, and then back again.
Pretty much. It's like the perfect example of how much opinions about art can swing back and forth over time. What's hated today might be worshipped tomorrow.
All right, let's dig into that. Where does the struggle begin? His early days, trying to get noticed.
Yeah, the first big hurdle was the official Paris Salon. You have to understand, the salon was everything back then. It set the standard, it made careers. If you weren't in the salon, you basically didn't exist to the mainstream art world.
So crucial to get their approval. Did he ever get in?
He did, actually. Had a little flash of success early on, 1865 maybe. 2 paintings got accepted, some nice reviews. People called them elegant. Looked like he was on his way.
Okay, a foot in the door. So what went wrong? Why didn't that last?
Because his style started changing. Fast. He wasn't interested in just painting things accurately anymore. He wanted to capture, light, atmosphere, the feeling of a moment.
And that new style didn't go over well.
Not at all. To the judges and critics used to traditional super-finished paintings, his work suddenly looked, well, careless. That's the word they used. Blurred. It just wasn't polished enough for them.
So they saw messy brushwork. He saw capturing an instant. Big difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
And the critics, they didn't hold back. Some of the things they wrote were just incredibly harsh.
I bet. I think I saw one quote that was particularly brutal. Something about wallpaper.
Oh, yeah. That one's famous. The simplest wallpaper is more skillfully painted. Imagine hearing that. Your life's passion compared unfavorably to cheap decoration.
Oof, that's rough. Were there others like that?
Plenty. Some called his style sloppy or even unhealthy. There was another one. I think a critic basically said that children playing with paper and pencils do better. Just completely dismissive.
Wow. Wow. How did Monet even deal with that kind of rejection? Does he just try to ignore it?
Here's the amazing part. He didn't ignore it. He actually, he collected these terrible reviews, cut them out, pasted them into an album.
He collected them what?
He called the album Ignorance.
No way.
Yes. So it shows, it stung him, definitely. But it also shows he believed in what he was doing. He thought they were the ones who were blind, not him. He was keeping a record of their lack of vision.
That's incredible self-belief and all this negativity, this idea that his work looked unfinished. That's how the whole movement got its name, isn't it? Impressionism.
Exactly. It was meant as an insult, a joke. In 1874, Monet and his friends, like Degas, Renoir, artists we now see as giants, they couldn't get into the salon, so they put on their own show.
The rejects show, basically.
Pretty much. And a critic saw Monet's painting, Impression, Sunrise, and mocked the sketchy, fleeting quality. He called them all impressionists, sarcastically, like they could only paint a mere impression of something, not the real deal.
And the name stuck. Started as a put-down.
The ultimate put-down. But they owned it.
Okay, so this is the picture. Rejected, mocked, compared to kids scribbling, his whole movement named after an insult. How on earth you go from that to being a superstar?
Well, things change, slowly at first, then really fast. By the 1890s, early 1900s, the tide just turned completely. Dealers started backing the Impressionists. Collectors wanted something new and modern.
People's eyes caught up with his vision.
Kind of, yeah. And Monet. He became incredibly famous. And not just famous, but seriously wealthy. Like super rich.
How rich are we talking? Like comfortable artist rich?
Oh, way beyond think mega celebrity rich. We found records. In 1 year, 1912, His income was something like 369,000 francs.
Wow. And what would like a normal worker make back then?
Maybe 1,000 francs a year? Maybe. So Monet was earning, hundreds of times more than the average person. He was a totally different league.
So he wasn't the starving artist anymore. What did that lifestyle look like?
He had his famous house and garden at Giverny, which was already pretty grand. But then luxury cars. He had a Peugeot. Apparently he loved driving fast.
Monet with a lead foot. I love that.
Yeah. Even got a speeding ticket, the story goes.
That's brilliant. It makes him seem more real than just the painter of quiet ponds.
Totally. And that garden, the one he painted endlessly. It wasn't just a couple of flower beds. He employed 6 full-time gardeners just to keep it all going. The water lilies, the Japanese bridge, everything. It was a massive operation.
6 gardeners. So he was living like nobility almost.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
His friends and patrons were calling him the greatest artist of our time. His own wife apparently nicknamed him Le Marquis, the Lord, because he was living in such a grand style. He'd gone from total outcast to the absolute peak of the art world.
Right. Sounds like the perfect happy ending. He made it. But
Right.
you said the roller coaster went down again after all that success.
Yeah, this is the really surprising part. Just as he's at this absolute pinnacle, he starts working on his final, maybe his most ambitious project. The huge water lilies. The grand decoration.
Those massive panels, right, not just regular painting.
Exactly. These things were enormous. He envisioned them as murals, surrounding the viewer, completely immersing you in the pond. It was a radical idea, pushing painting beyond the frame.
So his biggest, boldest work, you'd think that would cement his legacy forever.
You would think. But art history is funny. Almost as soon as he was working on them, and definitely after he died, these late works became deeply unpopular again.
Unpopular? Why? What changed?
The art world moved on. Again, new styles were popping up. Cubism, artists like Picasso and Braque. They were interested in structure, form, geometry, not so much in capturing fleeting light and feeling.
So Impressionism started to look old-fashioned.
Exactly. To the new avant-garde, it felt kind of sentimental, maybe even superficial. They preferred someone like Cézanne, whose work felt more solid, more intellectual.
And what do they say about Monet specifically?
Well, critics connected to these new movements started dismissing Impressionism pretty harshly. Guillaume Apollinaire, a big voice then, basically called it ignorance, said art needed to be more ordered, more refined. Monet's beautiful dissolving light suddenly was seen as like formless, hasty fantasies.
So the established master became the out-of-touch old guy.
Pretty much, yeah. And this wasn't just talk. After he died in 1926, and those huge water lilies were finally installed in the Orangery Museum in Paris, the reaction was shockingly bad.
Even in the museum meant to showcase them.
Especially there. The director of the museum reportedly called the installation a disaster. Can you believe it? People widely saw these amazing, huge paintings as just the old man's works, a pathetic end to his career.
That's heartbreaking. All that work, his final vision, dismissed.
It was really bad. There was a big Monet show, a retrospective, in 1931. Guess how many of the large water lilies they included?
Oh no, let me guess. None.
Almost. They included 5, but only small ones. They basically wrote off the huge mural-sized ones as just a random scattering of color spots. Totally missed the point. Many of those giant canvases were just left rolled up, forgotten in his studio for years.
Just gathering dust. Incredible. Okay, so mocked, then worshipped, then dismissed again. The full circle. And obviously that's not the end of the story. We love those water lilies now. How did they make their comeback?
The big shift came around the middle of the 20th century. And funnily enough, it came from American artists, the abstract expressionists. Think Jackson Pollock.
Pollock. How did he connect with Monet? Their work seems so different.
Well, they started looking at those late water lilies really closely. And they saw something completely different from the pathetic old man narrative.
What did they see? Not just pretty ponds, I guess.
Not at all. If you stand right up close to those huge canvases, they're not gentle or peaceful. The paint is really thick, it's textured, almost like a crust. The brushstrokes are broad, energetic.
Right, you see the paint itself, not just the image.
Exactly. For Monet, in those late works, the subject wasn't really the lilies or the water anymore. It was about the color, the texture, the act of painting itself. The surface. You got rid of the horizon line, flattened everything out. It becomes almost pure abstraction.
Ah, so the abstract expressionists saw a fellow abstract painter, basically. Someone breaking down the image into pure paint.
Precisely. The very things the earlier critics had hated, the formlessness, the thick paint, were exactly what the abstract expressionists loved. They saw it as incredibly modern, incredibly bold. Monet wasn't ending Impressionism. He was pointing towards abstract expressionism decades early.
So the disaster suddenly looks like a revolutionary leap forward.
The ultimate turnaround. Those late works went from being seen as the weak end of his career to being hailed as this radical bridge to modern art. He was way ahead of his time.
And now you go to the Orangery and those oval rooms are packed. People stand there surrounded by the paintings just like he wanted, that immersive experience he planned.
It's amazing, isn't it? From being called wallpaper, to living like a lord, to being dismissed as a disaster, and finally ending up as this revered pioneer whose late work influenced a whole new generation. What a ride.
It really shows you, doesn't it, how much taste and opinion can change. What's considered groundbreaking or even bad in one era becomes the absolute standard in another.
Totally. It makes you wonder.
Exactly. And maybe that's the big takeaway for you listening. If Monet's boldest, most out there work was ignored and even ridiculed for decades, what are we missing today?
Right. What art is being made right now that looks maybe too weird, too sloppy, too different for us?
What might seem like a scattering of color spots to us now could be the next big thing, the next masterpiece everyone lines up to see in 50 years. Something to think about next time you see art that pushes your buttons a little.
Definitely something to think about. You might just be looking at the future.